Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch lists, I just want to say if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in the bio section of my social media accounts. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already and like the video. These take time to make. I've looked at the economic calendar for the week. As of right now, I don't see too much to worry about. I don't have much. I have a few on the bullish side and only like one on the bearish side, and SPY is the only thing I have on the bearish side. I'll show you what I mean about that in a second. With that said, let's get into the video. Now, SPY right here, the thing I want to point out is you have the daily in the middle, weekly on the right, and hourly on the left. You have SPY right here. Why isn't my drawing showing up? Let's see. Well, anyways, well, it's because, there we go. Toss was acting up. Okay, you got SPY's high right here on Friday at 446-ish. We'll just round, say a whole number 446. All-time high right here is 454. Okay, so what we'll do is, I noticed VIX. Okay, let me go back to SPY real quickly so you can see the numbers again. The high right here is November 2nd, okay, and November 2nd and Friday, 10:15, November 2nd. Okay, so November 2nd is right here. Now you got VIX down here at 15, right under $16, and it's been bouncing when it gets in underneath 15, sometimes, I mean, underneath 16, 15.50, even $15 when you hit 14 right here. But this area is where it likes to bounce, as you can see on the weekly right here. This is where it likes to bounce on the weekly. So as SPY is all-time high right here, VIX is lower. Okay, it's diverging. So VIX is lower right now than it was when SPY was at all-time high at 454. So you get a big divergence going on with VIX and SPY. So SPY was right, VIX was not as low here, and it's lower here. So you have a hidden divergence going on with SPY and VIX. So gotta be aware of that. And SPY has been selling the pops. You'll have a couple day run, then it will drop. A couple day run, then it will drop. A few day run. Is it gonna drop right here? I'm thinking that with the VIX lower now than what it was when SPY was at all-time high, you have a pretty decent divergence going on now. I'm not saying we're going to definitely drop on Monday. I think we dropped this week. RCT trendline is right here at the 449 level. I would not be a bit surprised if we get up and test the 448, 449 area, 450 level before pulling back. That's quite possible. We could have another monster gap up. I hate those, by the way. We could get a gap up to the 449, 450 area, and if it does, I would look for a short side. No, I know a lot of you people are going to go, oh, SPY is going to go back to all-time. It might. And normally I would agree with that. I would think they would push it to all-time high. Earnings season's coming up. The last earnings season, you had all kinds of massive beats, and all the earnings end up selling off. So, I mean, I think that earnings season could be a possible another flop. This could potentially be the catalyst for SPY pulling back, or another event could end up happening. But yeah, normally I would think we're going to get a push back to all-time high. I don't like VIX diverging with SPY. It's lower now than it was here. So that's why I'm thinking that SPY is going to pull back this week. And many are going to disagree. That whatever, I don't care. But I like thinking outside the box and anticipating, and that's how I managed to end up catching a lot of moves ahead of time. I could be wrong, but I think that worst case it gets to the 450 level before it drops, or it's just going to end up dropping, period. But that's what I'm thinking. Pop, drop, pop, drop, pop. And I think we're going to drop again, especially with VIX diverging. So I would watch it underneath this 444 area. Now, if it gaps up to 449, 450, I will definitely be looking for a short side for that. So that's why you need to be in the room. The Trade Ideas channel will let you know what I'm thinking before the market opens and stuff like that. So that's what I'm thinking on SPY, and I'll get to the bullish side of the list in a second. Now on the bullish side, I have a little bit here, but now if SPY does drop, it's going to change my watch list quite a bit, and it's going to change my thesis quite a bit. So that's why you need to be in the room to understand what I'm going to end up doing, because I will switch my position really quick just based on the gap ups, the gap downs, and the action that happens throughout the day. So first one I have on the list is BA. There was a lot of dark pools on BA coming in this week, so that is the only reason I'm watching. Normally I would think, okay, this is going to drop more. I mean, it looks like it's going to drop more in the daily, come down to 208, 205. I mean, it still possibly could. It's got, I think, let me see, I should have looked this up before I got into the watch list, but I believe it's got earnings, but I don't think it's this week. I think it's next week. Let me double check. Let's see, we have Netflix this week. Just looking at the big ones, Netflix, Tesla this week. I don't see Boeing. Boeing's the week after then, because I know Boeing's is coming up. Yeah, so Boeing is not this week. We got Tesla, Snap, Netflix. Just looking really, really quickly. Yeah, those are the really big ones this week. Johnson & Johnson. So, I mean, the dark pool could be anticipation of an earnings run up. Now that traveling season's starting to come back in, and I also saw today that traveling numbers are starting to pick back up again. So that could be good news. I mean, maybe Boeing has a not so good ER and has really good guidance, and we see that all the time, that they could have bad ER, and if the guidance is good, that things are looking positive for Boeing and traveling, that it could pop. So there was like 24 million. I can't remember the exact number. I posted it on Twitter. There was a huge dark pool on Boeing. So I think that it's definitely worth watching for that. So I would watch it over the 220 area for a push to 225 to 230. Now that's where it's been stalling out, the 230 area. Then you get 230, 232, 235, 240, 245. Basically every $5, 250, 255. Now the weekly, you get a lot of resistance in the 260, 270 area. So we'll have to see what happens with Boeing. I mean, normally, like I said, I would be looking at the short side because the daily looks kind of bearish. But the dark pool has me thinking otherwise. So I have to see what happens with that. Now, Roku. I've been watching Roku for the last couple weeks. I mean, as you can see right here, this stupid thing. I mean, it's been bouncing in this 320 area. Bounced here, popped, here, popped. It started to bounce. It kind of stalled out a little bit. But right here, you get an inverted head and shoulders on the daily. Got the left, the head, and the right shoulder. It started to pop right here. I remember making that call, and they had analysts came out and said and downgrading it so they could get the shares cheap before it took off, and it's going to end up taking off. It's just a matter of when, not if. So I would watch it over 332 for a push to 340. I mean, Roku, when it has a strong day, you could see a $20 move, $20 to a $50 move out of it, no problem. You had a nice little move right here, which was a $23 move. $22 move, so that's a pretty decent move. I think we're going to end up seeing a $30 move plus out of Roku soon. I don't know if it will happen, what day it will happen, but usually it catches you off guard, and we'll just have to see if it happens this week. But yeah, I'm definitely liking Roku for a push to the It likes to get to this 380 level, 400 level before pulling back. So I think if it doesn't get any momentum going over 335, it's going to probably end up going to 350, 375 really, really, really fast. So I definitely like Roku. FDX has just been sitting here, bottoming out. I mean, right there on the weekly, it's bottomed out on the weekly. Instead of had a nice little small bullish week right here. It's not much ATR on FedEx, so it doesn't really move much on the daily. But it did stall out underneath the 20 EMA on the daily. But I think that it's probably going to push to the gap resistance right here of 235. Now, will it break that? I don't know. We'll have to see. So if it does manage to get over Friday's high of, we'll just round up, say 230. I would watch for a push to the 235 area. Now, will it fill the gap right away? I don't know. Possibly. I mean, you got like a little left shoulder here, head, and right shoulder. I mean, it's got a kind of not a very pretty inverted head and shoulders, but it's you could easily make the argument that it's there. I mean, you could say that's a left right there or right here. Then this is the head, and this is the right. I mean, it's not very well defined, but it is there. It's making higher lows right here. So if it does manage to get over the 230 level, 235 would be the big area to look at. Now, it could reject, it could chop, or it could fill the gap. We'll have to see what happens, but I would definitely watch the 235 area. Apple is another one. Now, I know Apple had bad news. Every time Apple has bad news about production, about lowering guidance, or any other manufacturing issues, it's a buying opportunity because every time they have these big panics, they end up recovering and going back to all-time high. And when it had the iWatch manufacturing issues or whatever it was, which was right here, I think, it just recovered. So I would watch Apple. It's starting to look pretty good on the daily, over 145. It's over 145 for fill a gap right here at 147, 148. You get this 148 level right here. 145 is a pretty big resistance in this area right here. That you get the 147.50, 148, 150. 150 would be a big psychological number right here. It gets over 150. I mean, it's probably going to end up going to 153, 155. If it gets to 155, I mean, they might as well just push it to all-time high. And as you can see on the weekly, the middle Keltner channel is a 20 EMA. It bounced off that. It likes to bounce off that or just below it. And it's done it here, here, and here. I mean, it went slightly below it, but it bounced here and here. Anytime it gets to the 20 EMA, it's been a buying opportunity for Apple. So we'll have to see if Apple will actually take off. I mean, we're going into Christmas season. People are going to be buying iPhones, AirPods, whatever they're called, iWatches, and other Apple products for Christmas presents. So I would imagine Christmas sales are probably going to do pretty well on Apple. So that's what my thinking is on Apple. Now I have BABA. Now I've been kind of like crapping on the Chinese stocks. Not really crapping, I should say avoiding them because I just don't like what's going on with the China stocks, large cap. I mean, you can't swing them. You can't really hold them too long. News comes out and they just get crapped on, especially with the Evergrande, whatever that is that's going on with China. So you just never know. And the BA, Baidu, and other Chinese stocks, I've just been avoiding them. I've been watching them, but I just don't want to touch them based on all the things that's going on in China. So, but if it does get over 170, I might watch for a push from 170 to 180, possibly even the 190 area. I mean, the weekly did bottom out. I mean, did get down to this 140 area. That's pretty cheap for BABA. So, I mean, it could make it a strong push to 200, but BABA has strong moves. It does end up having strong days. I mean, like right here in the hourly, I mean, it went from 151 to 158. I mean, it made a $7 move right there just in a couple hours. So when BABA gets strength behind it, it could move. And the options are not cheap, but they're fairly cheap compared to most, so that they end up moving pretty well if you get on the right side of it. So DLTR, another one for Christmas. Dollar stores, a lot of people just are hurting for money, and they're just trying to get Christmas presents, trying to get anything. They get it cheap at the dollar stores, so dollar stores end up doing really well this time of year too. So watch it over 100 for a push to, let's see, 105. Then you get this 106 area. Then you got 110, 115 is going to be big resistance. As you can see right here on the hourly, it's flat. Well, you can see it's like an ascending triangle right here. I mean, I guess you want to say it there, but you could say it right here too. It's higher lows. It's flattening out at the 99, 100 area. It gets over that. It's going to end up pushing to 105, possibly 110. So the weekly is looking pretty good too on Dollar Tree. I'm telling you, I think that Dollar Tree will end up being $120 plus probably in the next month or two. I mean, you get a nice inverted head and shoulders right here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder right here going into in the weekly. If it gets over 120, this head and shoulder, inverted head and shoulder is going to end up really playing out and just pushing it to 130, 140. So definitely watch that. Now, I keep talking about the Christmas season. You can't, I mean, everyone's going to use their Visa cards and their MasterCards and their credit cards and stuff like that. So credit card should end up doing pretty well this time of year too. Weekly, it's chopping out right here, right at the 20 EMA. I think it could possibly break over 232. It's over 232. Could probably push to about 233, 235, 240, 238, 240. It's got a pretty decent range for Visa. I mean, it moves like $5. So let's see. 226 to 231. So it moves almost $5 on a decent move. So I think Visa could end up having a nice strong move, and I think 240 is definitely within reason right here for Visa. Now the last one I have is Facebook. Now Facebook has just been getting hammered on. Same thing with Apple. Anytime Facebook has any issues, they end up recovering. These internet-based ad companies make too much revenue. It's just for this not to be a nice buying opportunity. And remember, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. So take it with a grain of salt. When you had the Cambridge Analytics, it dived and it rebounded. The pandemic rebounded. I mean, it's had so many antitrust issues and lawsuits and stuff like that, and it just shrugs off everything. Yeah, it dips a little bit of a panic, and it ends up recovering. So I mean, I think right here over 330. I was watching that on Friday too. Yeah, Facebook. I was actually looking at puts though, but yeah, I am going to be watching Facebook to recover this week. Now the problem is, will SPY let it recover? Because Facebook and a lot of these stocks have SPY has a big influence on their direction and how they play. Once in a while, they won't care what SPY is doing. You get stocks at like DLTR, Walmart, and Roku. They just doesn't care what SPY is doing. In fact, when SPY dips, they end up popping, and that's just the way it is. And when in time you see these stocks, the ones that run against SPY or doesn't care what SPY does, Target's one of them also, and you make a mental note of that. Okay, these things don't care what SPY does. So if SPY's dropping, I'm still going to watch it for calls and stuff like that. So, but anyways, over 330, I would watch for push to 335, 340, get a gap right here in the 340 area, 345, 350. Gap right here into 351, 355. Got a lot of gaps to fill on Facebook. To me, if I was swinging shares, I'd probably swing shares long term because they're probably going to have a good earnings report, and hopefully it wouldn't sell off like it has been. But it's so beaten down. I mean, the last time it's gone down this much, almost touched the lower Keltner channel on the weekly, was back during the pandemic. So, and look what it did afterwards. I mean, it doesn't usually get that low. It gets bought back. It chops a little bit, but it ends up going back up. So, Facebook, to me, my honest opinion, it's going to end up rebounding as far as Will it happen this week? Will SPY spoil it? We'll have to see. That's why I need to be in the room. So that's going to do it for the watch list. And those are my thoughts. Remember, it's not financial advice. I don't give that. These are my thoughts, my personal opinions, and what I am looking at myself. You can draw your own conclusion and stuff like that, make your own opinion. And disagree or agree, that's up to you. So with that said, thank you for watching.